Alrighty then.
Jesse sucks.
We're recording.
He's a terrible human being.
Please don't let the dogs in here.
The dogs are coming!
Music.
That goes here.
You
You don't literally have to do that each time.
I will do it each time.
Heineken Pabst Blue Ribbon.
You're so right.
Wow, flippers and all. Wow.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa. What you know about my boomstick?
You see my distant fellow?
Yeah.
I hate to kill him.
Can I have another bowl, please?
I think you know the way.
But you can't be any geek off the street. Gotta be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. Earn your keep.
Welcome to Geekisodes, where everything's topical about everything geek. I am your host, Jacob.
Oh, we're going to the right now this time.
This time,
Okay. I am the Livid Lawson.
the Livid Lawson.
We're gonna save our guest for last, or
Of course.
Or we'll skip you then. You don't count yet.
I am Bobby.
I am just Jesse.
Just.
And our special
Hi,
guest.
I'm John or Jonathan. Please help me. They kidnapped me.
Yes.
Hello, John or Jonathan.
Yeah.
I'm Dad.
We threw him in a trunk, brought him here. We're like, hey, surprise!
Interesting thing about Jonathan here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube or SoundCloud or
Yep.
any of our other mediums,
Any medium.
We have other media.
Multiple. Yeah.
yeah.
There's a
eventually.
manga. Of the, there's a manga of the podcast.
See,
Okay, let's get back
Yeah.
to me, okay?
Jonathan
of course.
here has done all the artwork for us,
oh yeah.
and
Yes.
yeah.
fantastically, if I might say.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, stop.
And if people are interested in your artwork, they can visit you at a certain website, which is
On YouTube, Twitter, or DeviantArt, I guess?
That's the one I linked, but I'll link
Sweet.
the others now that I have.
We'll link those here on
What's
the
your,
page.
what's your channel called on YouTube?
Yeah.
It's called John Masta.
Right.
Stupid name, I know, but I make cartoons and get screwed over by the medium.
Of course.
I make it. Right now, I'm making a series called Michael and James, which Jacob is helping me out with, funny enough.
Ayo.
And yeah, that's basically all I do.
Yeah.
I heard that your DeviantArt of Sonic is top notch.
Oh my.
I mean, I did draw him here and there, but
Oh,
I
my.
didn't do like
For-
any. I didn't do like basic DeviantArt stuff. You know what I mean?
For the record, I have established how much I hate Sonic, right?
No.
No.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
So
why
Sonic
do
the
you-
Hedgehog rant. Let's
Why
go.
do you hate Michael Jackson and Bill Clinton?
What?
Oh, literally, Sonic was created
Inspired
inspired
by-
by Bill Clinton and Michael
Michael
Jackson.
Jackson.
In fact, I think Michael Jackson did the music for Sonic 3.
In what way? Both how
No, the designer
and-
said his
It
personality.
literally says that.
But what part of Bill?
I'm just saying. They
I was
said
about to say what part of Bill Clinton?
The cool.
Do you like chili dogs?
The cool
Could you imagine
saxophone
Sonic with Bill Clinton's voice?
cheating Bill Clinton?
So
Michael
just imagine
Jackson,
pulling
like
us
it was
back slightly though.
Michael Jackson
Yes.
inspired Sonic
Well,
shoes.
I was gonna say pulling us back slightly though, because we have
Is that better?
we're leaving.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We're leaving that in.
Okay.
But because we have an animator here.
Yes. Because we have an animator here, we felt it best to make our main topic animation. Of course, it's
That's what we were talking about?
Yeah.
yeah. We
That's why you're
convinced Jonathan we're talking about gym socks and their multiple variations.
Usually,
Oh, I got like a huge essay
usually
on
our
that.
podcast
Damn
we
it.
talk about different coins
Yeah.
and how much they're worth.
Stamp collecting.
Stamp collecting.
Stamp collecting.
Stamp.
Okay, so let's reel it in. Favorite piece of animation
Okay.
and why?
Okay.
So basically, what that means is like, okay, it can be, of course, just because of course animation is not only a visual storytelling medium, but there's also an aesthetic to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can each go around and say just like an animation style that really captured you.
Okay. Yeah. So we're like really focusing on the visual aspects of it rather than.
Yeah, rather than, I mean, of course, you can vaguely mention,
So this is any type of animation style, whether it's anime. I guess it's animation.
I mean,
Yeah.
anime.
Yeah, it's still
Anime?
It's still
Anime.
animation.
So American Western cartoons.
sure.
I would imagine even like
Yeah,
CGI or
it's-
games.
I like how you
Yeah.
call us Western. Like you could like
You-
nobody's
you Western.
gonna be like Western cartoons.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna
American
be like, oh,
dog.
you mean
Well,
American
howdy,
cartoons,
Right.
and then Eastern cartoons.
Hey, there's some Canadian in there.
But
And
they're
he's
Canadian.
above us. They're fine.
Oh my gosh. So okay, so I guess since we're going right to left this time, I'll start off on like animation that I really like. So I do lean heavily towards that sort of I like
Eastern cartoons.
yes the Chinese cartoons a lot more.
Okay.
That that is what I lean towards.
Russia.
It's difficult because I do tend to be the sort of person that focuses on story over maybe necessarily animation style.
You mean the best part of the story?
Yeah, I'd say the story over.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But story over maybe visual flair. But I guess off the top of my head, this is something I probably should have thought out more. But off the top of my head, I think Blockade Battlefront, which is an anime that released recently, a couple years back, just had a second season, is like some of the most beautiful TV animation ever. Movie is kind of on its own scale because the budget's so much higher. But as far as like TV level animation,
Yeah.
it's like gorgeous. I mean, there's some other good stuff like One Punch Man's great too because they hired a bunch of kind of different artists to kind of work on different things too, and it all blends together surprisingly well. But
Right.
Blockade Battlefield is just so darn fluid and just like it pops and it
Yeah,
works.
so fluid. Like the movements of the characters, they matter tremendously.
Mm-hmm. It's not realistic, but it's believable.
Yeah.
Because it's super hyper over the top, and things are exploding and everything. But there's, it's just so good. Watch it. I can't really say more than watch it, but watch it. It's so good.
Perfect. I'm still gonna have you go last, Jonathan. Okay, because you're the
Okay,
no.
alright.
Hey, we save the best for last situation.
Yes,
Because
it
you're
is.
the guy who actually does what we're talking
Yeah.
about in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly works out. Yeah.
You can critique
Feel
our choices.
special. Wear your princess crown.
Yeah, I'm gonna judge all of you.
Yeah.
no.
Do it.
Judgy Jedgerton. Do it. All right, Bobby.
There's for me because I'm not Lawson. I can enjoy different. I can join Eastern and Western animes. Animes.
Encyclopedia.
Because I'm like, I guess I'm like right in the middle of like America and French and Russia and stuff like that. Since you're doing Western, quit calling it that. It's
Western.
weird.
Oh, forget the compass. Just
So like
go for
I a lot of my animations are like, if I had to go with my favorite, it would be Howl's Moving Castle.
It's a good one.
For my anime style. Fantastic. I mean, I think it was Studio Ghibli did that one, didn't they? Yep.
Yep.
Which, anything they've done is fantastic.
of course.
That's getting into that movie level where I was talking about before. It's like a whole different level.
Yeah, the cinematic.
Yeah,
the
but
cinematic scope is.
and because of that, I also chose something else. Since we're doing that, I'm going to go with Avatar The Last Airbender.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
That is really good.
Okay, this is gonna be embarrassing to say, but I still haven't seen that.
Yeah,
It's okay.
we'll forgive you for now.
What have you not been doing with your
As long
life?
as you don't see the movie, don't see the live action movie.
No, watch the live
Watch
action
the
movie.
cartoon.
Watch the
You
live-action
can
movie.
visit 1,000 dentists, and it will be more pleasant than watching that movie.
I agree.
I
Hang
promise you.
on. The people who've seen Justice League and who have seen Avatar, which one do you hate more?
Oh well, okay.
So Avatar's good
Objectively,
then?
objectively, The Last Airbender is a worse movie, but personally, Justice League is worse.
Defended you more.
Personally, to me.
I'm gonna go with Avatar. Honestly,
I mean, I feel you there, but
because
I'm
once
talking about-
once you can't say the name of the characters right, that are literally you had to watch
Come
the
here,
cartoon.
Ong.
Ong. Oh, hey, look, it's
Uncle.
Uncle Iru.
Era.
What? It's
yeah. Again, I understand where you're coming from, but me personally, like it's the equivalent of punching me in the face rather than seeing the movie. But Jesse,
Okay, let's get back on topic.
yes,
Topic.
back on topic. Jesse,
Okay. So
if you were done, Bobby, were you done?
sure. Apparently,
Sure. No, if you weren't done,
That guy. Oh,
You just knock the mic onto the
watch
floor.
the
now.
mic.
the mic's not on the floor; it's still on the thing. So
You could drop the mic if you want.
I could. I would have
There you
done
go.
do
that.
that.
Eminem rap battle.
Like a
We
poor
won't please our
beaten
viewers.
housewife.
My favorite anime style. I like the newer, cleaner. Like, don't get me wrong. I have a really big respect for the 1970s anime style. People hate it for some reason. It's so
Like you
it's
talking
so
about like
outdated.
Speed Racer?
Yeah, like Speed Racer, like some of the old. I love that stuff. I think it's great.
Okay.
The first time it was.
Just
it's
get a
one-
kick out of it, yeah.
I do. I just enjoy
Yeah.
the way it looks. But it's vintage. But I guess my favorite is more the newer. I really like the
Yeah.
newer style, like the clean look, the really.
Can you give us like a show as an example? That embodies it.
So I guess the more common show that people like would probably be the Super series.
Dragon Ball Super.
Dragon Ball Super. Now there are some issues I have with how they do some of the body styles. Sometimes like Goku's real buff, and then like a couple scenes later he's like skinny. And it's like what?
Really inconsistent.
It's kind of inconsistent,
it's
but
very
but it's
Okay.
like the movies and stuff. Beautiful.
Like,
it's clean.
They had a big, huge fan outcry because of the animation of Dragon Ball Super was like inconsistent. Well, it wasn't even like because there's like a fight with Beerus where it looked cheap and like very drawn, and like you couldn't even tell. Like it looked like Beerus and Goku were like just two blobs.
But like the movie looked really clean and good.
The thing about those movies, I'm gonna sit there and go, and they're no different than the TV show.
They're not. They're saying they're not needed to be a movie independently. It's
No.
But like the animation style's a little higher quality. I feel like in the movie a little bit. But
It's not like Rugrats the TV show and then Rugrats the movie.
no, not
Go to
quite.
Paris? Great. Yeah. Great.
But that and there's another show, Gundam Unicorn, which is it's a series 8-part OVA.
Okay.
It looks really
Unicorn.
Gundam Unicorn is
Wow.
what it's called, and they kind of mix some of the cleaner cut anime sequences.
Okay.
And actually, he's on that front
Yeah,
of
they
the.
can
Well,
we have a book on the table.
well.
On
The
the
one-
table.
Look who
The
showed
one that's
up.
I think that's
he's
foreshadowing.
white and kind of red and stuff. Yeah.
All right.
So that's Gundam Unicorn.
Gotcha.
They did a really good job in that series of.
so pretty.
Arguably the plot. I mean, I liked it, but I know it's kind of a weird Gundam thing.
Sure.
But
sure.
it looked really good because they used kind of like the CGI kind of cartoon animation.
Oh, so it's like a hybrid?
It's like a hybrid
of-
kind of sometimes.
I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. The Batman anime did the same thing, didn't it?
Yeah, but they did it really well.
The samurai one?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Or no,
That was
ninja.
all CGI. I thought.
Yeah, that's all. That's
Was
all
it all
like
CGI?
I think so.
it's
It was
all
different
computers.
CGI. Okay, because like I'm not used to that
It's
kind of CGI. So
well, like there's a new style of animation out there now, which
Yeah.
started with Berserk, where it's all computers and CG, but they throw in like a little bit of drawn technique into it, so it looks like it's.
What wasn't
Isn't that the same technique they use in like that Disney short with like the couple and the paper and the lipstick and everything? Like, I think like at one point like the paper went on her face and
No,
her
I know what
lips
you're
was on
talking
it.
about. It was the Pixar short.
No. I think you're talking about more. There was a short I saw of they did Star Wars TIE Fighter battle in anime sequence. Have y'all seen that?
I've heard of it.
I've
heard
not.
of
Oh,
it.
it's incredible.
Wow.
I highly recommend you watch it.
The only Pixar type thing I can say is I sent Jesse a video of a gay kid figuring out.
I
if he's
don't
in
think
love.
that's Pixar.
No, it wasn't. But
It's
I
Pixar
enjoyed
style.
it because the kid's heart goes out of his body, and then like I'm like they should all be freaking out that his heart's literally out of his body, unless the fact he might be gay.
Yeah.
Well, it was a subtle. It was kind of a little more subtle of, you know.
Yeah, I get it. But there's Berserk did it, and Berserk's had like a very big problem with their fan bases because they really want a drawn
Well,
anime.
it's also terrible.
Oh yeah. But they heavily did a CGI and it looks terrible. And then like you get
the
That's just where you draw the line.
not
huh?
Blaze Blue, but what's the other? The same company does them. Those other fighting games.
Arxis.
Yeah, no, but there's like the series.
Guilty Gear?
Guilty Gear does it
Guilty Gear does it amazing. It,
Like,
does, it
really
looks
well.
like it looks
But it's
like
that same
Dragon Ball
technique.
Fighters
Yeah.
is the same people. It looks exactly like an anime.
Yep.
Like,
Okay, so Jesse, any more input?
Other than the Star Wars anime,
Okay.
TIE Fighter, which I will show y'all here
I
soon.
remember
Yes,
watching with you.
Please
It
do.
is incredible. You watch it
Yeah.
and you're just kind of like, oh, this is cool. And you want
Yeah.
them to make a
Yeah, it's just a music video. to be
Huh.
honest.
Alright.
Basically, it's like a 7-minute
So-
long short of.
So, me, like, I was kind of the same way, Lawson. Like, I always did pay attention to the story, you know? Of course, but I can't appreciate the aesthetic. I think, okay, so since I'm not thinking story, I'm thinking quality. I did love the animation in The Lion King.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if that sounds generic
No.
or...
No, not at all.
What was the other one I didn't
well,
mention was Beauty and the Beast?
I mean, it's
so
a
I'm
little
kinda
bit,
thinking-
but not really in a bad way.
Yeah, because that's a very, 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 very popular Disney movie. One of the most popular Disney movies of all
It's like
time.
the highest grossing animated one, wasn't it?
It's up there.
Okay.
It has to be. Frozen may or may not have beaten it out.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
You
think
know what I
about
mean?
that.
But yeah, no. Basically, with The Lion King, I think it's like, okay, I go back to The Lion King because there's so many scenes that just mesmerized my eyes.
So, what else, or is that it? Just...
No, it's just like, and I was just gonna go on about it and be, and just say that the scene, like the opening scene, of course, it's like the minute like the sun is setting and the birds are flying, you just see all. I'm like,
it's gorgeous.
That is right, it's breathtaking. And the scene where the climactic scene where Scar and Simba fight, when it goes to slow mo, I was in awe. I can't, like, every time I watch it, it never gets old. I'm always in awe.
Have you watched it here recently? Because that's one of the movies I haven't watched since I was younger.
Yeah.
Really? Oh yeah, I've watched it very recently.
I really would like to.
I mean, it
'cause I
probably
feel
was a
like
year ago.
I would still have the same respect. I
Yeah,
had for it
seriously,
when I watched it when I was younger.
I honestly have more respect for it every time. I mean, the story's kind of cheesy here and there, but just, of course, the animation is just like, it's gorgeous. So yeah, Jonathan, I'm anxious to hear
Final
your answer.
countdown.
Crack your knuckles.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna.
Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was actually gonna start with that and The Simpsons because they're some of my favorite cartoons ever.
Okay.
Okay, Ren and Stimpy, I love it, even in the animation style that was established after John K. got fired for good reason. One thing I absolutely adore about it, like
Seventh Heaven.
like in my opinion,
Sorry.
I'm innocent in this.
anyways,
We have to throw in quips.
okay, the biggest thing that mesmerizes me about Ren and Stimpy is their biggest emphasis on facial expressions. Like, I know that sounds like not really exciting to like anyone in particular, especially people who aren't familiar with the medium.
Okay.
But if you think about it, most cartoons usually have like preset facial expressions for all the characters.
Okay.
But like with Ren and Stimpy, they never did that, and they always encouraged the artists on the show to draw the characters off model, as long as it looked good, you know.
Right.
I mean, yeah, like after the original creators were not involved with the show, like for the exception of the co-creator Bob Camp, like the drawings didn't look that good, but I will admit they still had like, I mean, yeah, they still had ones that were like decent here and there, but the facial expressions still had a different variety to them.
Was
And
that? Sorry to interrupt. Was that innovative? The way they did not have any preset facial expressions.
pretty much, yeah.
And
Like
that had to have set them back a lot, though.
Well, I don't know if they did. Like, it allowed them a little more freedom when it comes to, like, the visual storytelling in every episode. Like, whenever, depending on the situation, they would just give, like, Ren and Stimpy and the other characters, like, the appropriate expressions. Like, instead of just giving them, like, generic, happy, sad, angry expressions, like, if you need a scene where, say, Ren looked perplexed, draw him looking perplexed. If you need a scene with Stimpy looking, like, ignorant, you draw an ignorant expression, something like that. And, yeah, that really influenced my animation style personally. I also really like The Simpsons because in some points it just honestly I just like it because it looks so weird yet so fascinating to me.
So, like, I love The Simpsons, and I love watching, like, the first episodes and how they've progressed and gotten
Oh my
better.
God,
Like,
yeah.
the first pilot episode of
Yeah.
The Simpsons.
Yeah, like, are you talking about the Tracy Ullman shorts or like when the series officially began with that Christmas
like,
short?
I think it was the Christmas short I'm thinking of. The one where it's, like, there's different voices and, like, they look completely different than they do now.
Yeah, like, I guess
Or-
especially fascinating when you... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Where like Homer says, "Okay, Bart,
Yeah,
I'm gonna come
exactly.
after you."
okay, that's especially fascinating how like the voices like progress throughout the series. But yeah, like with the animation, like even though the style was kind of established when it comes to the characters in that episode, like you can definitely see like a clear evolution as the series went on. Like it actually got better and better and better. Like yeah, there was this awkward point where like they still look stiff and everything, but they're arguably better drawn. And I especially like how with Matt Groening's style, like there's such a variety of how each characters are drawn. Like you have the lead family, they have like those perfect circle eyes, but like when you look at other characters, like say Principal Skinner, they have like smaller, more oval shaped eyes, and like they have like different facial structures, like the way they're. Well, I don't know about their hands, but like how everyone has like a different body type, like, and I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but
I kind
of get what you're saying because like if you watch Family Guy, a lot of the like the extra characters that they throw in there all look the exact same.
Oh my god,
that's a whole thing with Jonathan.
Like I don't have a thing against Family Guy, but I fucking hate its art style with a passion. I am sorry, it is one of the most bland art styles I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look interesting at all. Like and like you said, like the background characters look the same, look generic, uninspired. And that's one thing that bothers me. Like the main reason why I like how Matt Groening in The Simpsons in particular has like a huge variety with how the characters are drawn is because the human race has such a vast variety to it. And like again, like I don't think like artists like Seth MacFarlane really understand that. They just draw like uninspired, generic looking characters, and I don't like that.
Yeah. Phew. Yeah, the heat from that, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can I give, we're on animation, can I give an honorable mention real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
The last season of Samurai Jack.
Oh my god.
The animation
foreshadowing
is so amazing.
Like Jacob's only seen like the first few episodes and he's already
they were perfection.
So should we mention?
Sure, well, not yet. Okay. We'll save it for later. Right. But actually mentioned you watching the show. You haven't gotten to watch any yet.
I have not yet. No, I have been given an essential list to catch up. On some things because I've heard the last season is so epically phenomenal.
So I'll go ahead and this isn't spoiling anything. My favorite animated part in that series, which is great, all of it is, but there's an episode where it's like completely white.
It's in snow.
It's in snow.
I've actually seen an essay on that episode.
Was that episode not incredible?
Yes.
So like this whole entire episode was a white. It was like a white like backdrop.
Oh my
and he was just moving through, and you just barely see like it's hard to explain because it's so expertly done.
That is amazing.
It's all in the execution, basically.
It's all in the execution.
And if I remember correctly, most of that episode is silent.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's like a silent episode, and like the only shadows and stuff you see are the trees, and you'll see his outline every now and then, and like with him fighting and stuff because he's being stealthy.
That's what I loved about it. Like it's just, or what I saw of that season, just the creativity. You just don't see that out of even filmmakers these days.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Live action, you just don't see that that detail and that heart.
Well, I was gonna say what's interesting about that is you were mentioning. So a lot of times the reason animation is, so we were talking about pre-used faces and a lot of that other stuff. So recycled because even though animation is very expensive to make in a timely manner.
Yes.
And so, but what's interesting is where you see a lot of the creativity now has gone from where that Ren and Stimpy, where there were people that were in companies willing to do that, and has actually kind of transferred to where you're at, where there's a lot of YouTube online animation.
Oh yeah, I also wanted to like give a shout out to like some internet animators I really like.
Yeah, go for it.
Like there's this guy named Harry Partridge. Like he's one of the few guys who does like hand-drawn animation, and his style is phenomenal. like it's funny. Like he actually takes influence from like 80s cartoon, primarily from 80s cartoons. Like even though I don't really consider those the best, but like
sure,
like the animation is just great. Like almost Disney level actually. Like every single video that he makes like has like a huge passion put into it. Like it looks cartoony, but it looks well drawn at the same time. I don't know. It's hard to explain. All I can say is, Harry Partridge, he's good. Go watch him, please.
Well, I mean, talking about good animation.
Yeah. I mean, you want me to? Ask him.
Yes, I want to hear. I'm
Okay.
waiting for this a lot.
So, Jonathan, we have you here. You're an animator. We have to ask you the life of an animator, of your particular style, being an amateur animator with the ever so favorable YouTube algorithm that makes you immediately pop up in my suggestion. If I
Oh yeah, they're
please
they're
explain
great.
to us what it's like to be a person in your position on that medium.
Well, first off, I can't make any money off of it, obviously. The second of all, like, they straight up won't let me monetize anything anymore because I don't have enough of an audience on my channel. Like, I have a few hundred subscribers, but I don't have like massive amounts to justify
They
it.
did change.
They did change it. They made it a lot more difficult to be monetized.
Yeah, like, I think it has something to do with like the amount of videos been viewed rather than the number of views. If that makes any, if I'm not mistaken.
Very true. It's
Like, granted, I think I kind of like took it seriously like after the algorithm became a thing, but still, it's not really the best decision.
Can we explain the algorithm a little bit for those
Yeah, I
who
would.
don't? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. From what I understand, and I mean, Lawson, you can maybe explain it more eloquently, or maybe even Jonathan. From what I understand, it's you're really popular. You're gonna be there in somebody's suggestion, and you're gonna be in their newsfeed. And if you're not that popular, if you don't have that many subscribers or that many views, you're just not going to show up in somebody's search.
Yeah, basically,
because of the algorithm.
There's a lot of more complicated things that go into it, but the basic idea is that if something is watched by a lot of people, it is then suggested to a lot of people.
Right.
And so if you're, and the other thing it really likes is view retention in long videos, which is why Let's Plays do relatively well. They changed it slightly, but for a while they were really big.
Yeah.
And animation does not do as well because most animations are not 50 minutes long of, something. It's usually, minute to 3, maybe if we're really pushing it, we hit 5, but,
Or in my case, like 8-minute episodes.
Yeah, but you're more than usual. It's usually shorts is the thing, and so they're looking for like a lot of these things go if it's even under 10 at all. Like they're just like screw it, we don't care. Basically, it's got to be over 10 minutes at least.
And it's now what you said. It's like, okay, if a lot of people view this, then it's probably going to be a suggestion. And that's in a way ideal, but then it becomes unfair.
Well,
because of the corporate aspect.
Well, I was exactly is that now
because of the politics of YouTube.
Well, everything that's suggested are people that have like television shows.
Yes.
It's not YouTubers. It's television people who already have that built-in audience.
Or if they're, in cahoots with Google and they're, on YouTube Red, it's like they're
well, there's also certain languages.
Languages?
Yeah, like from what I understand, demonetization also goes if you use foul language.
Oh.
Think of it like, all right, you have a network TV show versus HBO. HBO doesn't get monetized because they can do whatever they want, while the networks have Pepsi, Coke, State Auto ready to go, giving them money.
Right.
So you also got to throw that into the demonetization because, like, I like a lot of because I enjoy wrestling. I subscribe to some wrestling stuff on YouTube. So a lot of those people won't get monetized because of the fact that wrestling is a violent sport.
Huh.
So people,
and yet they're okay with football.
Yeah, they're perfectly fine.
Yeah,
but
brain damage is perfectly tolerable.
But like some of the people lose out money, and like it also happened to Let's Plays. A while back, they demonetized Let's Plays because they would use a lot of people would use foul language or just be PewDiePie and be stupid.
I actually heard of an instance where someone actually bleeped out swear words, but they're still like clearly on screen, like they just roll out the words uncensored.
They don't bleep out there. They don't bleep out there.
Censored. But I guess what the idea behind that is companies don't want to put their name behind something that could be considered foul and lose them money.
Right, which it's bizarre because that feels like just the language of YouTubers.
Yeah, it is. But
everybody curses there. It's
you've got a language. You get the language of the professional world. That's looking, and I'm not going to put my name on that because
like it's considered vulgar
or foul.
Right. Yeah, but then again, you look at The Walking Dead
or South Park.
Or South Park. You don't ever see them being like, well, we're not showing any commercials during The Walking Dead or South Park, even though South Park was like had one episode where they said the S word 138 times.
Is that like a record?
Yeah, it was like right after like NYPD Blue said it like once, and they were like, "We're gonna say as much as we can to get away."
Gotta
with
love
this."
it.
I think it's a little different when it's associated with like a network station like Comedy Central, or that's where it gets political, I guess. But
Right.
like I don't know, YouTubers are on their own kind of.
Here's
you know?
the thing, as I will say this to defend the giant evil corporation, which I think has made more stupid mistakes than I can count. That being said, they haven't been revenue positive since Google's owned it. They have never once not made Google money. And so they're trying desperately to get advertisers to put more money into it so it can finally become something that's not sinking the money. And I think they're going about it wrong, but I get why they're so frantic, is because they've just poured at least millions and probably billions of dollars into this thing, and it's...
Well, I mean, you'll talk to every YouTuber, and they just have this disdain for the corporate YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, they have a disdain. But Jonathan, I mean, that I don't know if that was a tangent or not, but may or may not have been, but that's okay. But I want you to like, what's the process of making an episode of Mike and James for YouTube? What's that?
Well, basically, I just in my spare time, I just write them, animate them, and occasionally do voiceovers, like whenever I need to. That's just really it. Like, I don't really pay attention to, again, the politics or the monetization or anything, because since I'm not monetized, it doesn't really matter anymore.
Right. So, so basically, you're such. I don't want to say like unpopular, but like you've got your own thing going, so you don't entirely have to worry about them as much.
Yeah.
It's something that's a hobby for you right now instead of being like a livelihood.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I don't want that. I want it to be like a career of mine, but for now, since I'm like still in school,
this is a very good start.
Yeah, I'm still like in school, like getting like an art major, so I can transfer it to a school that can give me an animation degree. But as it stands, it is my hobby, and whether I like it or not, I got to treat it as such.
Well, as an amateur writer, I have some sympathy for you there, where it's like, I'd love that to be something I can live off of, but sometimes you got to pay the bills first, you know?
Exactly. That's always the... do you have anything else to add about...
If I'm going to be perfectly honest, like, I only know, like, the basis of the whole algorithm problem. Like, other than that, I pretty much, like, I'm just basically the guy who just, like, draws, like, drawings, and it's pretty much completely oblivious to
I
everything
do what
else.
I do, and I love what I do, right?
Exactly.
So, what programs do you use to animate?
Okay, the program I use, which nobody else uses, I guarantee, is called Animation Creator, and I use it for the iPad.
Okay.
And basically what I do is like I animate every single individual shot, and I edit them together on a movie editing software, and that's pretty much it. And
do you use any tweening or anything like that, or is it all frame by frame?
It's frame by frame, because even if I wanted to, it won't let me tween anyway.
Okay.
So before we started to record, I noticed you were drawing on your phone. Was that the program you were using? Or?
Actually, this is kind of interesting. Like, for all the keyframes and everything, I actually draw them on Autodesk Sketchbook, a drawing program, because I freaking hate drawing on the animation program because the coloring lags like hell, and I just don't like the brush sizes or anything. So I draw some in-betweens in the program, but like, I just draw all the keyframes on Autodesk. And again, I even draw them on my phone sometimes when I'm on the go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect.
Be a way to ramp up production.
Yeah.
Also, back to the whole like frequent video thing. I actually had this idea for like maybe every month or two I could like work, if I feel like I'm taking too long on a certain video, I can just make one like a short that's like 1 minute long, so it can only take me like a couple weeks to make, and just put that out there and then just continue with my bigger projects.
Yeah. I could totally see how that could help, keep people who are really interested in what you're doing, make them feel like you haven't abandoned them in the blue ocean.
There's a sense of variety too.
Well, thanks for sharing all that stuff with us.
Very fascinating.
It's pretty,
very
pretty awesome.
fascinating.
Very, very interesting.
And
now get out.
Leave. No, we're not done. We're not done talking about animated things yet.
I shook the table. That was my
shook
leg
the table.
shaking the table.
My leg.
So, but before we cut to commercial break, I have to say that this is a PSA for something that may or may not have been on our last broadcast.
We didn't screen well
Can
enough
you?
again.
Yeah, we will. So it's a PSA.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, so
So we should let that play then, I guess.
definitely.
Okay. See you in a minute then.
Yeah, I think we have to. We
Oh.
have to play this legally.
Oh.
So yeah,
Oh. Okay.
There are lawyers involved?
Okay.
possibly. So here's a PSA for something that may or may not have been on our previous broadcast.
Have you or someone you loved died from using the weight loss product, the Lardvark? You may be entitled to compensation.
I bought the Lardvark and gave it to my mother. Everything seemed fine until the cat jumped on her. One thing led to another, and the settings got turned too high. And it turns out you really can vibrate so fast that objects pass through each other. It took like 4 surgeries to get Mr. Mittens out.
But this poor soul is not the only victim of the reckless practices of the Lardvark.
The doctor said I'd never sit again. I mean, my friends always said I had a stick up my butt, but this is something else. Do you know how embarrassing it is to have to go to the hospital strapped to the roof like a freaking Christmas tree? Do you?
Yes, an epidemic of Lardvark-related injuries and deaths are sweeping the nation, and you too can cash in, receive compensation for this defective and dangerous product.
For more information, please call 1-800-MY-BUTT-IS-BUSTED.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Mr. Burns' new, Smithers, what do you call this again?
It's called a podcast, sir.
Oh yes, Charles Montgomery Burns' new podcast. I assure you that it will be quite excellent.
Beautiful, beautiful.
That was glorious.
Had to.
Great.
Oh.
So,
Yeah. I knew that Lardvark guy was a little sketchy though. I was a little worried about that.
Sounded like it.
Yeah.
I really wanted to believe that was true.
I freaking hate that Arthur kid. You mentioned Arthur.
oh, Arthur's an Lardvark,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
Yeah. Different.
that hurt
Lardvark.
me.
Anyways, I'm pointing a laser pointer at Jonathan. It's pretty amusing.
We're very mature.
Yes.
Thank God the dog's not here.
I feel very uncomfortable with this.
So the dog jumped on you without you prompting it. I wonder what it would do to you. If,
Yeah, she'd chase all the way up his
Yes.
I am being sexually harassed. Please stop.
oh my!
by the dog.
And we're moving on. So,
anyways,
guys, animation is such a unique medium.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you. We'll go around, and of course, Jonathan last because he gives.
Oh, I see how it is.
Yeah, we're picking teams now. Because again, you give the best answers, best for last. What can animation do that no other medium can?
Okay. Start with me.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Okay. This is.
Just breathe.
No. Well. Okay. So we talked a lot about facial animations specifically earlier. I think that's a really unique thing is expressiveness. Is you can express things in such a way that live action simply can't compare with.
Yeah.
Now it sometimes struggles. It's interesting because in real life, subtler subtler facial expressions are much easier to do. In real life than they are in animation, but extreme facial expressions I think are much easier to get across in animation. That's a
So for like the sake any form of emphasis, basically,
I think a lot when
that I want to emote
yeah
can be really achieved in animation.
I think and I think that when you don't do that, you're actually really not taking advantage of the medium. There's a couple shows that intentionally keep things hyper realistic that I think actually works for it. Psychopaths is a good example of something
that is a good show.
Intentionally not necessarily taking advantage of all of the things of animation, but when you see shows, and I think sometimes they can go too far because I don't necessarily like things quite as expressive as you do, John. I sometimes it gets so far out, I'm like, my brain has lost connection to what reality this is supposed to be.
Right, because it just gets so elastic.
But yeah, but if you keep it within a certain realm of relatability, I can find that I can almost relate to animate. Like Disney does that well.
Yes.
Relate to these characters more than I maybe could an actor or an actress actually portray
Right.
something.
And on that point, I remember I think it was Nostalgia Critic who pointed out in Beauty and the Beast, there's that scene where it's like later in the movie, it's after they danced, the Beast and Belle danced. She sees her father's in danger.
Yeah.
and you see the Beast. He goes through like, and Nostalgia kind of broke it down. He goes through multiple emotions without speaking, obviously, kind of to himself. Like, he's conflicted, he loves her, but he wants her to, go save her father, and you can see that through all of his emotions.
Yeah.
And the animation in that movie really nailed that.
Oh yeah.
Really nailed that. So
Definitely.
So animation has the distinct ability that I used to be, but consistency with the world, like now that they're doing a lot more CGI now, some things like a dragon will come out CGI, but everything else is like clearly hand drawn anime. So you used to back in the day, everything was going to be drawn. Like, you go see a regular movie now, you're going to notice that something's CGI.
Yeah.
That's out of place. Because, CGI is not perfect yet. Then other times it's like, oh, that's really good. But, but used to, animation was consistent. Like, everything in that world seemed like it fit.
So when a dragon comes out in like an animated movie, it looks like it belongs in that world.
Yeah, and then like if you go to like other animes, there's a CGI dragon there instead of like a hand-drawn dragon, and it really takes you out because like you sit there and you love Gundam Unicorn. It's probably going to be a little bit jarring to me, like seeing like them up close, they're drawn and everything. When they show them outside of the Gundam, it's going to be drawn, but when it gets to action, it's going to be like in 3D.
I don't know. I feel like robots get a little bit of a pass on that because the mechanical nature of it definitely lends itself to that already.
Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
You're like I said, you're watching Gundam.
Okay.
All right. When they show them outside the cockpit,
right,
it's a drawn Gundam, right?
Yeah.
But when it's flying around, it's a CGI Gundam.
Yes.
That's not a little bit
a
weird
little
to
bit,
you.
but it would be more weird if it was something organic. I think it lessens it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think Futurama was one of the first cartoons that did that sort of thing.
What?
Yeah, like it's still like hand-drawn animation, but they still have shots here and there where they have like CGI models of like ships and stuff, and they just like make them fly around, but they still have like outlines around them. I think it's called cell shading.
Yeah. So this is like I guess what anime can do that, or what animation can do that no other medium can do.
Yes.
And I think I agree with this point. You have movies like just in comparison, live action movies like Indiana Jones and the help me out here.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
No, the original one.
That's the one with CGI. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Yes.
where he melts his face.
Yes.
Oh,
that's so authentic.
That's so authentic, and we could have a podcast about this,
of course.
And I'd like to, but this is a good comparison.
Yes.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's focused.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of time and effort that went into it.
I watched the entire process on how they did it.
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it really
but
is.
in comparison to like anime, like if they were to do that movie now, it would be a CGI face.
Yes.
It'd be the easy thing to do.
It's very true.
I don't think that counts as in the animated animated sense, because you have people like hand drawn things, which is an art style, and then you have like the art style.
They're still trying
CGI
somewhere
stuff.
if it's an animated show with CGI sprinkled in.
Yeah, it doesn't throw me off or bother me. I think anime or animation can pull that off.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I'm just
I just like to imagine like if the melting face would, like, assuming Indiana Jones was like animated for some reason, I could just imagine like the melting face, like if it was hand drawn, like it would still have a lot of effort put into it, but it'd probably be a little easier. Because like all you have to do is just like draw everything instead of just like creating like this whole like sculpture of the head and just having it melt.
Well, that's you're talking about like drawing something versus melting something and adding the science behind it and everything. Which I'm not trying to take away from like the animated sense.
Yeah,
because it's still a lot of work.
Yeah, like for some things like live action is more work, in some sense animation is more work. Like for example, I remember Mark Hamill describing him in a recording session for the Batman animated series with like Kevin Conroy, and they're like recording like a bunch of these like a bunch of voice clips of them getting hurt, like because they were fighting, and it involved like a scene of them like jumping off of buildings, like a crashing blimp or something like that, and he said something like, holy crap, this would be a bitch to film in live action. But like with animation, you can just plan it out and just draw everything.
Yep.
So
exactly.
I'm gonna push back slightly on something you said earlier, though.
Okay.
When you're talking about CGI.
Yeah, sure. Go.
I think that the problem with CGI is not that it's not the same. Well, because like let me tell you this, like bad Spider-Man CGI and early Spider-Mans is CGI. So is Tangled. But one is clearly we would consider Tangled. I'd still think in that animation process. I think it's not I don't think it's a matter of the fact that it's CGI. I think it's a matter of one is aiming to and failing to produce photorealism, and the other is an intentional art style.
That's
very
exactly
true. That's very true.
Sorry. What?
Well, I was gonna say with a movie like Avatar. Okay.
Wait, blue people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Not.
So that's okay. Well, when you're watching a cartoon, you're expecting a cartoon.
Yeah, and I'm forgiving it for any. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like with a movie like Avatar, technically that is half animated, if you think about it. But there was an authenticity to how photorealistic.
Half?
Well, you know what I mean.
I would say about 90% at
but you know what I mean.
But it's marketed as a
one half. One half
movie.
is humans, and the other half is the Na'vi.
But it's marketed as a live action movie.
Prequels.
I mean, I know they were surrounded by. I know they were surrounded by CGI, even down to their clear masks. But yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of as far as like humans compared to.
It is still marketed as a live action movie, even though.
I know.
Very true. But my point about it all was, I was trying to say that with the Na'vi and the whole planet Pandora, it did try to authentically look real, and it did in multiple ways. And I think that authenticity, it's like okay, and it boils down to the authenticity of special effects. Because it originally, and this is what I always say about old special effects versus new ones. Old special effects were like, okay, this is here, and then we go, okay, yes, that is here. But a lot of CGI, it's so easy for it to go, yeah, it's here, I guess, and we're like, oh, okay.
It doesn't feel as weighty or real. You mean?
Yeah, because like with the OG Jurassic Park, you know what I mean? 93.
Oh yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking
there it is.
about.
I saw it in your eyes. You were gonna say, I'm like, Lawson has not seen this movie.
No, I have not.
But
so hang on. You've never seen the original Jurassic Park?
I've not seen any Jurassic Park. Not even the bad new ones, apparently.
Why am I always surprised when you say things like this?
Yeah, I
shouldn't be.
Dude, even I've seen Jurassic Park.
I've trained myself to not be surprised. But
No, this is important. Okay.
We're watching Jurassic Park after this.
Yeah, I really want to.
Trigger.
I am a little triggered. Am I not allowed to be triggered?
Oh, you're perfectly allowed to be triggered.
Okay.
I love how
this is a safe space.
He's going to watch it, and he's not going to like it because you're going to oversell it.
I'm not trying to oversell this. It's a classic movie.
How the hell can you oversell Jurassic Park?
You can oversell anything.
You can oversell anything. But anyways, we'll keep going.
But what I was saying, okay, there I go with the okay. Either I need to stop or get a less wobbly table.
The wobbly table stays.
Wibbly wobbly.
That's not in the budget.
I'm voted off the island.
Until we can monetize this, it's not happening.
Okay, guys, sorry, I'm so spastic.
Again, the algorithm.
The algorithm.
No, but what I was about to say, my whole point was, because I felt like we were kind of getting into CGI special effects. The original Jurassic Park, they did a perfect balance of CGI and realistic special effects, live action special effects.
Was it BuzzFeed or one of those Facebook video things that did like a breakdown of what all special effects that they spent money on and actually did, and they built the animatronic dinosaurs, and they put a lot of work and effort.
Specifically for the wide shots is when they used the CGI, and for the close-ups they used animatronics, which makes perfect sense.
It was only like nine minutes of CGI in that film, right? If I remember, it's like
roundabout.
It's like a crazy small amount for how much it feels
very
like.
true. But when it's there, it's there.
Yeah.
Like
it works perfectly.
Like there was a shot where like the T-Rex was like terrorizing the kids while they were in the car or something.
Yeah.
And at one point it showed the close up of the T-Rex at his face, and as soon as the animatronic was off screen, it just shows like the CGI T-Rex like walking away.
Right.
Like that's like the perfect example of like the perfect balance.
Definitely, and that's what I'm saying. It's like if it's not so dominant, like Star Wars prequels, then it works. So,
all right.
But I don't know if that was a tangent, but
no,
No, it's fair.
I think it's on par.
And I think it works into what we're talking about.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you, the animator, why do that versus live action then?
Well, for starters, I don't like. Well, first off, I don't like actually having to find like areas to record,
right?
Because apparently you have to pay for those, and people. I learned this the hard way, but apparently people aren't really comfortable with you filming their house and stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't really feel comfortable like getting like other actors to like film, and I don't like being in front of a camera myself.
Right.
So, and for me, relatively, it'd be a little easier just to like draw everything and just have a bunch of random people just like record voices, so I can just like animate over those, so I can have like more control over it. Basically, I'm a control freak.
Yeah. So
Fair
basically, I don't have to if I want my characters to go to the Taj Mahal in my movie, I don't have to worry about finding a location for the Taj Mahal or recreating it if I'm doing a live action movie or recreating it. Like I don't have to worry about that if I'm animating it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Like, all you have to do is just like make the background Taj Mahal. Like, I mean, yeah, you still have to do some research and study like the environments and everything. But all you have to do is like draw it and just animate the people there. You don't have to like physically go there.
You basically have more creative room for locations.
I mean, Pixar does do that. Like, if there's like specific locations and cultures in their movies, they do like visit them and like research them. Like actually flying there and like getting to know them. But typically, you don't have to do that.
Fun fact: so did Sonic Team on Sonic Adventure,
which Jacob loves.
That's right, they did.
They took actual pictures and used them as textures in their game.
Oh my god, yeah, they did. I forgot about
I'm gonna
that.
throw this out there. The team who Ubisoft who makes Assassin's Creed, they do that a lot.
Yep. So clearly, it corresponds with
That was
quality
back when
every
Sega
time.
actually gave a shit about whether Sonic was good or not.
I'm turning you into a drinking game.
It was.
I'm sorry.
It was never good. Never good. It was never good.
Well, I mean, that's like your opinion, man.
Hey, I like it, Lebowski.
This is a show about opinions.
I was gonna
Okay.
say, because we I just thought I'd throw it out. I know it's not.
Hey, just be thankful Salmon Classic Sonic Man is on this podcast, all right?
Oof. But even though it's not necessarily a show map, because we got a couple minutes.
Sure.
I wanted to, because we've kind of skipped over this some. But what do you guys think about like? We haven't really touched much on actually video game animation and how that differs from. Like,
Oh my!
I just thought maybe go around and talk about a good example of that.
Wow.
Like
I don't.
So you want a good example of a video game?
And I don't mean not like, but like animation, in-game animation. I'm not talking about pre-rendered cutscenes because that's effectively just still CGI work.
I'm gonna throw this one out there. Persona 5.
Okay, that's new. I haven't played that.
It's just nice to look at. It's got
a very distinctive art style.
A very distinctive art style. It's very unique. It's got a pretty good story to it. I haven't finished the game yet, but kind of halfway through, and it's got a really interesting type of vibe going on with it.
Yeah.
So that'd be my pick.
Other than, because I'm not gonna, I wanted to include it, but I'm not Until Dawn has some great facial animations.
Yeah, they actually they broke that Uncanny Valley.
But I'm actually going to go and say Uncharted 4.
Okay. All right.
Because Uncharted 4 has like this one scene that's fantastic. Like you couldn't do that in a movie. It costs way too much money.
Okay, but in a game they managed to make it.
Yeah, it's like this chase scene where you're trying to get to your brother and you're like stuck on a rope.
Yeah.
And you're just like kind of being dragged along, and they do it so well.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
We'll not save you for last this time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like,
go for
honestly,
it.
I'm not nearly as cultured in video games as mainstream cartoons, but I will say I adore the animation style in Cuphead.
Oh yes, that is great.
Yeah.
Like
1920 style.
Like that was animated in like 60 frames per second, right?
I believe so.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure.
Like if it was, that's like really ambitious. Like this is coming from a guy who only went up to like 30 frames per second, and that was hell. I am never doing that again.
Yeah, Cuphead's a really fun game. It's it'll make you throw your controller across the room, by the way.
Okay.
But it's beautiful. Like it's like the 1920s style. Like, hey, how you doing, boy?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
come on into the bar and
I like it.
let's gamble.
Let's do the howdy do.
Yeah, it's got that vibe to it.
Gotcha.
It's yeah.
Yeah, when you say it's beautiful animation, but it's a pain to play, it kind of reminds me of that Don Bluth game.
Oh my gosh, Dragon Slayer.
Dragon Slayer, yeah.
Right?
Dragon Slayer.
Dragon Lair.
Dragon Slayer.
You know it's the time they got the night guy. You have to press left or right.
Yeah,
it's
Oh yeah, it does. I know exactly what you're talking
Dragon's
about.
Lair.
That's what I thought I said.
Dragon's
Yeah, and then
Lair.
there's a sequel. Yeah, it's impossibly hard.
No, but like I think it's interesting on Cuphead when you're playing the game, it feels like a film roll. So
Yeah.
like you're watching in the background and you'll see like little. I don't know how to explain this.
Little
the
particles?
Like the
particles,
grain-
like in
the grain
like the
particles.
grainy,
Yeah.
grainy
I know what you're talking
film
about.
parts.
Oh, wow.
And you'll see it go past, like as you're
Oh,
playing. It's
wow.
really cool.
That is really interesting.
So I'm gonna do two wildly different ones, and one is gonna offend you a lot. I'm looking at you,
Make
Jesse.
the weird stink face.
Yeah. So the first one, no one will know. It's great. It's called Momodora 4, or it's called just Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight, and it's the 4th game in the series. It's like a prequel. It has some of the most gorgeous sprite art ever. It's not very complicated. It's a small indie game. And it's not like hyper detailed. It's not that like Symphony of the Night, which has like all this kind of a huge company behind it. Symphony of the Night is one of the greatest examples of sprite art in my opinion. But it is just, it's so gorgeous. And what they managed to achieve, where they made it just detailed enough that it doesn't feel cheap. And it's just so fluid and beautiful, and I just love it. Again, just look up a trailer. I love the whole game is great too, but the sprite art in that's great. The other one that's on the other end of the scale that I think handles it really well, that matches that perfect, for me, that perfect mix of realism and kind of it would not work as a live action thing, but it works, but it's pretty realistic for animation, is Resident Evil 6. I love the look of that game. I love the way that the characters are drawn, where they're not necessarily... I think 7... I like 7 a lot. It goes too far into the realistic look. It gets kind of uncanny valley for me on the character model.
Is Resident Evil 6 your favorite Resident Evil game?
No, my favorite is 1, the remake of 1. But, yeah. But 6...
I would agree with the visuals on Resident Evil 6.
Okay, you just hate the actual game, but the
hate
visuals...
the game, though.
I like the game, too, but the visuals... I think the best Resident Evil has ever looked, off the top of is 6, because... It hits that perfect mix of pretty realistic, but also has a few cheats that could only work in an animated setting, and I just love how they handled that. I think it was really well done in the presentation.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of on the same boat as Jonathan. I always remind these people I'm not as cultured in video games either. I'm a very, very, very casual gamer, but I do enjoy video games. So having that said, I don't know if this is crazy, but the one I played and beat this game was just kind of on a whim. I just kind of found it and I played it. Bioshock Infinite.
That has a very distinctive art style.
Like, here's the thing, and of course, you know, like I said, I'm just not as familiar with it, so it mesmerized me. I mean, the world, Colombia, the city.
Yep.
Oh my
the
gosh.
Floating town.
Yes.
It's like carnival,
the
like
floating
weird
city
style.
Yeah.
Beginning and then you're
Well, it's dystopic carnival. Yeah. It's hard to explain the aesthetic, but yeah, I just remember being in awe into every building, city, environment I went into. I was just in absolute awe.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I love about video games too, because if they have a gorgeous world waiting for you, you get to be in it.
Yeah.
I loved how
that's the coolest part.
I loved how bright that game could be at times,
Yeah.
and then how dark it could get at the same time.
Oh, yeah. And when it got dark, it did not let up.
Yeah, and it was like the one game where like your companion actually helped you out.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like,
You're like,
now-
she's really useful.
Now would be a good time to do a weird portal thingy. Yeah.
You gonna throw me some ammo?
If I had to give Bioshock Infinite, which I would give it to both 1 and Infinite and 1, is I enjoy how they created a world where it's like, this is the idea of what somebody would think of what the future would be in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Very
Like,
true.
uh,
It's cool.
Like,
Yeah,
like,
very, very,
the
very
technology is above what we have now.
Yes.
But
But the sensibilities
the
are-
sensibilities
Yeah,
are still the same.
Exactly.
It's kind of like you know, Star Wars and in Star Trek back in the day. You know, they didn't really have screens. They just had buttons everywhere.
I know,
Right.
yeah.
like they were doing holograms,
You
but
ever
that's about it. Like,
seen Airplane 2, William Shatner, where he's like, there's just buttons, and they're blinking, and they're flashing, and they're blinking, and they're flashing, and they're blinking. And he just goes crazy.
yeah,
Just reminded me of that. Sorry, go on.
yeah, it's fine.
Blinking and they're flashing.
I'm blinking, and they're...
I think that's a very astute observation on the part of just
Very true.
that idea.
Yeah, I like that proposal of that subject.
Like video games, just in general. They even the old ones, like you're talking about. Well, that's not really an old one, but you mentioned 8-bit stuff earlier.
Or 16-bit.
16-bit. That stuff has its own art style that I think holds up today too.
Yeah.
Shovel Knight.
Because Shovel Knight. Well, anything. You ever seen people do the pixelated art? Like
yeah.
This sounds stupid.
I've got a
like
friend who does it
on Minecraft, where they build the pixelated art and stuff. I think there's something to that too. I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Honestly, when it comes to like 16 games, Jacob, you're gonna love this.
Go for it.
I think the most visually pleasing game of all the 6-bit games that I've seen would probably have to be Sonic 3. It's like really, it's such a beautiful game.
It is very pretty. Look,
Yeah, it is.
Sonic Mania.
Sonic Mania is very pretty.
Sonic Mania comes close, but Knuckles is pink, and I
Don't
like
let the fans ruin the first few
Sonic
games.
Mania looks awesome.
It's not the fans, Jesse.
And if you're a Sonic fan and you're listening to this,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Sonic though, have you actually played classic Sonic? 'Cause
Yeah, I've played it.
I was gonna say
If
most
it
people like
makes
that,
you
but-
feel
wasn't that
better,
impressed.
if it makes you feel better, I'm gonna help you out. All right. I don't like the movie Elf.
Wow. Okay.
Apparently, it's weird to me not liking the movie Elf.
Yeah, it's
He doesn't like the movie Napoleon Dynamite either.
I'd also
No,
like the
I'm with
movie
you.
Napoleon
This is the
Dynamite.
one time we will unite as brothers.
Yeah.
Jacob, I know how you feel about that.
I mean,
so.
I don't have
I know
strong
you feel
feelings
about
for it.
It's
but
okay.
It's all right.
It's okay. I'm used to people not liking movies.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let's move on. So
Lion King's overrated.
Boo.
I mean, it is, but it isn't.
so
Inappropriate.
what?
We'll have to bleep that out.
I'll have to
Bleep
bleep
what
that
out?
inappropriate hand you made.
Guys, there was nothing to bleep. It depends on what your definition of is. There was nothing to bleep. But no. Okay, so this is interesting. What animation? Let's bring it back to animation.
Okay, yeah.
Is there an animation style that may not have been your favorite at first, or rather you weren't going to go for it, but it actually kind of grew on you in the end?
I want to go last.
Okay. Jesse, start us off.
I'm going to say something, and I don't want Bobby to jump over. I love this show, and I regret ever doubting it for a second in my mind. And you're going to be like, why did you think that? But Samurai Champloo, the very beginning. I know you're giving me that face. You're like, what are you talking about? I don't know what it was. I wasn't sure I was going to like it when I first started. I was like, well, what's going on here? And when I first started watching it, I was like, okay. And then, like, it's got such a great story, and the animation style is beautiful. So, yeah, that's my answer. That's the best answer I could come up with, at least.
I was going to throw this. The rap music really works for the show.
It does. And I think that's... Well, it's like that, the hip hop type of style,
Yeah.
like kind of threw me off, and because it was like the animation was in it too, and I was like, this is kind of weird. It's like a samurai feudal Japan type of setting, and there's
Pretty much, it's true grit with samurai.
yes,
Okay.
but with kind of like a hip hop style,
Like
bonus.
like what RZA did for Afro Samurai?
Yeah, kind of.
So
Okay.
I gotta ask real quick. When did it grow on you? Because I watched the first 2 episodes and didn't enjoy anything other than the very the first minute of it at all. And I'm wondering if I need to go further along.
Have you not watched the entire series?
No, I watched 2 episodes and went, I hate this, and then I stopped.
Oh,
but
no.
I was like, does it get better, or is it if I did?
It took me a couple episodes to get into it and start enjoying it. Once they get past the initial,
I'll help you out.
Maybe
3-episode rule, man.
I usually stick to it, but if there's things that I don't like. I've watched it's a solid 40 minutes, and I enjoyed 60 seconds of it, and I felt like that's a bad ratio. And
no, it's good. Like the characters. Well,
3 episodes, no matter what.
We're getting a little off animation topic, but since you didn't like the show, like the characters Mugen and Jin, they're complete opposite.
Yes,
but they are both excellent fighters.
But I hate them both.
Let's just move on.
Yeah.
There's
they
no
have to
winning.
grow.
Here
They
he
have
goes
to grow
again,
on
man.
you.
Okay, maybe I'll give it another shot sometime.
Because they have a common goal, but they hate each other.
Yes.
And that conflict is great. And then the one thing that's kind of holding them together is this girl who's told possibly a big lie to them.
Yeah.
And see what happens when they find out.
Okay, so least favorite style, like styles we didn't like at first but grew on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna be a little redundant briefly because I don't want to say this too long. But again, like the art style of Ren and Stimpy after John Kay and the original creators got fired, like I didn't like it at first, but it kind of grew on me over time. Okay, so another big one the only other one I can think of would probably be the art style for Rugrats. Like it looks.
I could see that.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah,
that
like
too.
I always thought it looks like kind of sketchy and weird, but it kind of grew on me.
It does.
Especially after I started watching a cartoon called Duckman, which was animated by the different people, by the same people. Sorry, not the,
Class B Chapo.
yeah, Class B Chupo. Yeah, it's not created by the same people. It just animated the same way.
So speaking of like sketchy animation, like a lot of Disney animation when they changed from I can't remember what style to the other, it became really sketchier, and I remember that having to grow on me too. Just thinking of that, was it a similar experience to that at all, or?
Well, no, not with
okay.
anything Disney. I can always enjoy. Well, there's some things Disney I'm sure I don't like, but like Pickle and Peanut and stuff. But off the top of my head, no. Like I think Rugrats is like the best example. Like I would want to say Duckman because it's arguably more hideous than Rugrats, but I don't remember particularly hating that style. But then again, I really like messed up humor and art styles and stuff. So yeah.
I'm gonna have to say because it's the only thing I can think of on top of my head. Recently, I watched was Devilman Crybaby.
Oh, that's got a distinctive art style.
That's a very distinctive art style. And I remember watching the first episode. I was like, not really getting into this that much. But like as everything goes on, like I start seeing the art style a little bit differently in the way they were going with it, and I kind of got it. And like they try to throw in like a vibrancy to the messed up death that they threw into it. So you know, because
did I ever show you the mashup I did of that with Hatsune Miku as a joke?
I don't know what Hatsune Miku
Oh my
is.
gosh! Remind me. We'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to that later.
Okay.
Pin in it.
But yeah, that's my answer. Samurai Champloo was good.
It is good.
None of
I
the
love
characters
it.
suck.
I didn't say they suck. I said I hated them.
I like them.
Well,
I like it too, Bobby.
I
Thank you for showing it to
I
me.
find it difficult to. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Oh.
So I was kind of I have a thing with like cheap CGI on TV channels.
Oh my god.
Definitely.
Cheap computer graphic. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
the penguins of Madagascar
Are
or
you gonna say reboot?
I hate those animation
right,
styles.
right.
Wars.
Back at the barnyard. Yeah, just really. But here's what actually worked for
Jimmy
me.
Neutron.
Okay, Jimmy Neutron's fantastic.
I know. I love
But
it.
Yeah, I like Jimmy Neutron.
But I see what you're saying. Because actually the movie came first in that situation. But no, actually because of course I'm religious about Star Wars, like the rest of us. But
Clone Wars.
close. Rebels.
Rebels. Yes.
Rebels. Here's the thing.
Really?
I look at it objectively, and I'm like, oh, you're just some dumb Disney XD. Disney bought you. You're just some dumb kids thing that. But no, it was authentic. It had heart. It had a good story. There's barking dogs.
Yeah, even the dogs are passionate about
Yeah, they agree with me. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh no.
it's okay. It's okay, Jesse.
No, it happens. So,
So I love that.
But no, but what I'm saying is like the animation, I guess grew on me, but I don't know if it's more like the story grew on me, because the animation is just fine.
I will.
Yeah.
I
At best.
will say this about Rebels. It brought up my love of Darth Maul.
Yes.
To a whole new level.
My gosh.
So-
Darth Maul is like a underrated character that should have been way bigger in the Star Wars franchise.
But they solved that problem.
Well, yeah, in the cartoon, but I mean, like, I'm talking about like because originally Darth Maul was supposed to be like Benicio del Toro was supposed to play him, but then like his role got cut down and he stepped out.
Is that why he's in the Last Jedi?
Yes.
all right. I don't want to like throw this conversation off into another
No.
depth, but I have my reasons for not wanting to watch anything Star Wars animated. Is when they come out with the Clone Wars, and I hear it's great. I hear it's okay. Like I hear different sides of it.
Right.
I know Rebels is different.
Rebels is very authentic, but that's what I love about it.
When I heard about, I had that exact same attitude. This is something stupid.
Right.
Disney bought you, whatever. But like the problem I had with it was I didn't feel like it added, like the Clone Wars didn't add anything to any of the, like how does Anakin have a Padawan when he's not a master? I know you can get. I don't.
I
Where's
will
Ahsoka
have
in episode 3.
I will
Exactly.
invite a guest, and we can have all these Star Wars conversations because he's
Although I
a
will-
gigantic Star Wars nerd.
And I know there's a.
we can never equal out to him.
I know there's a reason
like it.
for that, but it's never an acceptable. There's not an acceptable answer to me anywhere.
I get your
I'm not going to
reasoning.
accept
if you
any
weren't ever
explanation to that because that's
a
not
true knight, then why should you be teaching people?
Exactly.
I will say this. Like the 2D Clone Wars, directed by Genndy Tartakovsky, it adds way more to the Star Wars lore than episodes 1 and 2.
Well, that makes me think of. I mean, to your point.
I agree.
To your point, there's a whole episode dedicated to Anakin fighting off the Sith Lord on the planet where they find the crystals, the Kyber crystals for lightsabers.
Yeah.
And that added to the lore because I finally found out where the lightsabers came from.
Yeah, the movies never did that.
No, they didn't.
Yeah. So is it worth watching?
Oh, by all means.
The Clone Wars and
everything,
Rebel?
everything.
Okay.
I think it's worth watching.
I'm a Star Wars fan.
In my personal opinion.
I'm a Star Wars fan. I've never seen it, so this is kind of.
Check it out.
All right.
I don't think
I
you'll
might
be
do that.
disappointed at all. But
It might grow on me. That might be my new answer.
yeah, I mean, and that was
We'll
my
see.
answer too. Yeah, it grew on me. It really did. Like,
Interesting.
I started to smile as I watched it. Like, oh my gosh, these guys actually care. You know. So
well, I will say this first. I actually think my answer will be like a week or two Samurai Jack because having just seen parts of it, I'm like, but the more I've watched that. The thing that won me over actually before you guys even talked about was I told you I saw that video essay on that episode about. I didn't actually see the episode. I just saw, and I thought, oh man, this is like doing so much with so little.
Yes.
Right.
But I need to watch more before I can officially say like, it's won me over. But I'm on the turning point on that. But my answer where I'm fully turned was Ruby, with the 3D animated Rooster Teeth, show.
wow, I don't think I've heard of that.
It's my gosh, it's amazing. Well, I love it. I don't know if amazing is the right word, but I think it hits all those notes for me. It's just great.
It's amazing.
Well, I was gonna say the quality of the story does get better as it goes along, but so does he's got a little 3D printed Ruby Rose's scythe. So everything is both like a close range weapon and a gun. Everything's also a gun. So like that's a sniper rifle and a scythe.
Oh, wow.
Great. But so the thing is, it starts out rough, and it's still not perfect where it's at because it is basically an indie. It started off as an amateur production and kind of became an indie studio. And they've got some big name voice actors, in it now, like Yuri Lowenthal, Vic Mignogna.
I've heard of them.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Animate.
We got to see
I know
them.
Vic
Gotcha.
Mignogna was Edward Elric.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
So
Yes,
so
he
a lot
was.
of anime related people, but it's basically CGI anime, and it starts off rough, but the saving grace of the earlier seasons are the beautifully, and I really do believe, unmatched choreography on the fights. It's something I think you could only do realistically in an animation style, and in this case even 3D because of how difficult it is.
Wow.
They're beautiful. I can't think of something that I think is better as far as fight choreography than that show.
Wow.
It is really great. And then there's some melodrama that gets better. The melodrama kind of gets better as it goes along, and it's actually enough to make me really be invested in the characters. But for the early seasons, it's like just stupid fun with these gorgeous fights. And then the gorgeous fights pretty much stay throughout. There's a slight dip when the creator died, and they had to kind of try and...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was rough.
Oh.
But I think they come back up to where they were before, and at the same time, the plot progression, character arcs, and melodrama all go up. So write it out if it's... Because they're pretty short. If you want something... And if you can't handle the story because it's too cartoony or silly, just look up some fight scenes. You won't regret that, at least.
What's the show called?
Ruby. RWBY.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll check that out.
Yeah, it's great. Maybe I'll show you some after this. Like, it's really cool stuff.
Yeah, totes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I believe we've all had very fascinating discussions.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I had fun.
I don't
Very-
know, I thought it was pretty boring.
Who invited you anyway?
That was my 80s theme track.
Yeah, I can add something in there
Huh?
if you want me to.
If you want to, yeah.
It'll be like retro 80s.
Do it,
Yeah.
please. Okay, like Phil Collins drums, like Susu Studio, like
Yeah.
okay.
We're probably listening to it right now.
Oh yeah.
You don't know.
We
It
are.
could be in the background while we're talking.
Meta.
So meta.
Community episode.
Yeah.
Community. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
All right. Okay, guys, this has been so much fun. Jonathan, you have been a fantastic guest star.
Yes, you have.
Oh,
You've
stop.
had a fascinating insight, and go ahead and give yourself a very shameless plug.
Okay, subscribe to me on John Masta. Watch Michael and James, and pay me to draw stuff, please.
Okay, what's the best way to contact you via online?
All right, on YouTube, my YouTube channel, again, John Massa, JONMASTU, or on my Twitter, at John Massa. I guess you can give a shot at my DeviantArt, but I'm not really on there as much as I used to be.
Okay.
So Twitter's the primary way.
Yeah, Twitter.
Okay,
All right.
perfect.
And might I add, his stuff's really funny.
It's
hilarious.
very
Yep.
a video I would suggest if you want to look at something specifically. Dog forgiveness. You guys
Yes.
remember that?
I do remember
Oh,
you
yes.
showing me that.
Dog forgiveness
That was
is
great.
pretty great. Anybody have any last words before we sign out?
Any last words?
Farsignugan.
Farfig Nugan.
Farfig Newton?
Farvik Tubin.
All right.
Don't get on Google and look up Sonic fan art.
Oh gosh.
Do not do that.
Okay,
Do
look
not
up my
do
Sonic
that.
fan art, but nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that note.
On
yeah, that's
that note, thank you for joining us, guys. Join us next time on Geekisodes.
We had so much fun.
We did.
I had fun.
Great.
And Hail Cthulhu.
Bonjour, you cheese-eating surrender monkeys!
They said seek the help of a stranger. You're the only stranger I know, and you're as strange as they come, laddie.
Now there's a myth about me I'd like you to correct. I'm not from Edinburgh.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy, and the crab cakes aren't bad either.
Brothers and sisters are natural enemies, like Englishmen and Scots, or Japanese and Scots, or Scots and other Scots. Damn Scots! They ruined Scotland!
I can play a melancholy tune to go with your weeping.
I reviewed the new crafters. They're all shite.
Ooh, that's some tough talk coming from a man who wears a basket on his head. I'm calling you a coward.
Oh, you speak like a poet, but you punch like one key.
You might even make me shiver if you want, dressed in a nightgown.
Then grease me up, woman.
So you get a peek at me kilt, bigger than yours.
That's the last time you'll slap your willy around.
You've done it now.
You just made an enemy for life. Good night.
Does it look like my bedtime?
Oh, you bastard!
I'll give you a moment to recuperate.
Don't feel bad for losing. I was wrestling wolves back when you were your mother's teeth.